You know, CT scans, they're an absolute cornerstone of modern medicine, right? I mean, they save lives every single day. But what if there's a downside? A major new study is taking a closer look at the long-term risks, and honestly, the findings are pretty staggering. So let's dive right in.
So to really get a sense of the scale we're talking about here, check out this number, 93 million. That's not a typo. That's how many CT scans were done on 62 million people in the US in just 2023 alone. I mean, wow. It's safe to say they've become one of the most common tools in a doctor's playbook.
But here's the thing. For all that incredible diagnostic power, there's a trade-off. You see, CT scans use something called ionizing radiation. And yep, that's a known carcinogen. So that brings up a really important question. What exactly is that hidden cost?
Okay, so first things first, let's be super clear. There is a very good reason these scans are so common. I mean, think about it. From diagnosing a major trauma in the ER to figuring out the stage of a cancer and guiding treatment, CT scans are often just indispensable. You get these quick, super detailed and accurate images that are, quite literally, life-saving.
You know, this quote from an editor's note in the journal that published the new study, it really just says it all. You basically can't practice modern medicine without this tech. It's just that deeply woven into everything we do. But, and this is the key point, that very fact that they're everywhere is exactly why we've got to understand the risks.
And that's where this landmark 2025 study from JAMA Internal Medicine comes into the picture. For the first time, researchers really tried to put a hard number on those long-term consequences. They asked a simple but powerful question. What's the real cancer risk from just one single year of CT scans in the US?
So yeah, they put it out there plain and simple. Looking at those 93 million scans from 2023, what's the projected lifetime toll? How many new cancers are we talking about down the road?
And the number they came back with, honestly, it's a jaw-dropper. 103,000. Let that sink in. That's the number of future cancers they project will come from the scans done in just that 1 year. It's a figure that really demands we take a much closer look.
But, you know, a big headline number like that only tells you part of the story, right? To really get a handle on this risk, we need to break it down. We need to know who's most affected and which specific scans are the biggest contributors.
So you might immediately think, oh, it's got to be the kids, right? They're more sensitive to radiation. But here's where it gets kind of counterintuitive. The vast, vast majority of these scans are actually done on adults. And because of that sheer volume, adults end up accounting for over 90% of the projected cancers.
And this points to a really crucial distinction we have to make. On a per-scan basis, the highest individual risk, yeah, that belongs to the youngest children. But the biggest overall public health impact, that comes from the millions and millions of scans being done on adults.
Okay, so what about the types of cancer? Well, when we look at the data, a few really stand out. The study projects lung cancer is going to be the most common, and by a pretty wide margin. After that, you've got colon cancer and leukemia. And these are all cancers that we know are particularly sensitive to the kind of radiation doses used in these scans. And get this, where in the body the scan happens matters a lot. It turns out scans of the abdomen and pelvis are the single biggest source of risk. We're talking 37% of future cancers. And that's because, well, they're not only super common, but they often need higher doses of radiation to get a clear picture.
Okay, so 103,000. It's a shocking number, no doubt. But to really wrap our heads around what it means, we need some context. Like, how does this risk stack up against other things we already know cause cancer?
All right, first, let's do a little time travel. The last big estimate like this was back in 2009 using data from 2007. Back then, they projected 29,000 future cancers. The new number is 3 to 4 times higher, so what gives? Why the massive jump?
Well, it really boils down to a few key things. For one, we're just doing way more scans, about 30% more than we were back then. But also, the science has gotten better. This new study uses way more sophisticated methods to model the radiation dose. They can account for stuff like multi-phase scans, which the old study couldn't, and they're using much more precise data to figure out the doses.
And this all leads to what might be the single most stunning projection in the whole study. If we stay on this path, CT scans could be responsible for about 5% of all cancers diagnosed each year. Just think about that for a second. That puts the risk from this one medical tool right up there with major public health issues we talk about all the time, like alcohol and obesity. It's a real wake-up call.
So, where do we go from here? What do we do with this information? Do we just
Stop using CT scans? No, absolutely not. The real question, the most important one, is this: how do we balance the incredible, life-saving benefits of this tool with these risks we can now see so much more clearly?
And look, the researchers and the journal editors are super clear on this. This is not about scaring people or ditching a critical diagnostic tool. Not at all. It's about a call to be better stewards of this technology. The answer isn't to stop using it, but to use it more wisely.
And that really boils down to 3 core ideas for doctors and hospitals. Number 1, justify the use. Is this scan really necessary for this patient right now? Number 2, optimize the dose. That means using the absolute lowest amount of radiation you can while still getting a good, clear image. And number 3, always consider the alternatives. Could an ultrasound or an MRI, which don't use this kind of radiation, do the job instead?
So at the end of the day, it leaves us with this final, crucial question. And it really captures the challenge perfectly. We have this medical marvel that saves countless lives. But now we know with more certainty than ever that it comes with a real, measurable risk. The goal for everyone in medicine has to be to sharpen the focus on that balance, to make sure that for every single patient, every single time, the benefit of getting that powerful image continues to far, far outweigh its hidden cost.